Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Ellie Bowen, and I'll be your moderator on today's call, entitled Sizing Up Your Mobile Strategy. One size does not fit all. Your presenter for today is Mr. David Rolfe. David is LANSA's product manager and has over 20 years of IPNI experience, including extensive involvement integrating IPNI applications with various Windows, web, and mobile technologies. Before I turn the call over to Dave, there are a couple of things to note. The GoToWebinar Attendee Control Panel is located in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. If you have any problems during the presentation, you can get my attention by clicking here to raise your hand. Or, if you want to ask a question anytime throughout the presentation, use the questions section to do so. All product-related questions will be answered at the end of the presentation by Dave, and I'll take care of everything else in real time. I'll also broadcast a message that contains a dial-in number and passcode shortly after this session begins, just in case you need to switch over from mic and speakers to the telephone. And last but not least, all attendees that participate through the entire presentation will find out how they can get a free LANSA USB hub as a thank you for attending today's webinar. At this time, I'd like to turn the call over to Mr. David Rolfe. Dave, you may begin.
Thanks, Allie, and welcome, everybody. Today, mobility is a core requirement for any business. This explosive growth is really driving a deluge of mobile app requests with multiple platforms to support and hundreds of change requests and complex back-end integrations. And as demand for mobile applications grow, companies will increasingly will probably find it difficult to navigate through this maze of mobile options while wondering which choice will provide them with the best return on investment. So as for today's agenda, the first part of the presentation, we're going to take a look at the results of a survey that was undertaken to try and understand firsthand the role that mobile is playing in enterprise IT strategies, and then discuss some of the mobile challenges that businesses are struggling with today. Then we'll investigate the mobile development landscape and see how the development offerings apply to and heavily influence the survey results. After that, we'll take a look at LANSA's mobile offerings and discover how our product set can help address many of the challenges that businesses struggle with when they decide to go mobile. And last, we'll just discuss 3 takeaways that you can immediately apply to your enterprise mobile strategy or any kind of upcoming mobile projects. So today's presentation should run about 40 minutes, and that will leave us with plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Now, anybody that's ever sat in on one of my previous presentations will know that I love to kick off a session with a quote that ties into the subject at hand. Today, actually, I'm going to use a proverb instead, and the one I'm going to use is one man's trash is another man's treasure. So if you're wondering, well, how does this relate to mobile? Well, when we get to the mobile development portion of today's presentation, you'll realize that each option has its pros and cons. And because of that, a development option that is a bad fit for one company may be the perfect fit for another. So what I'm getting at here is don't automatically dismiss a particular mobile technology because you heard a peer say that it didn't work out well for them and they tossed it away. They tossed it to the curb. Just because that option wasn't a good fit for them doesn't mean it won't be a good fit for you. So their trash literally could be your treasure. All right, so let's get started with the survey results on enterprise mobility. There was a mobile survey done, and the one that we'll be referencing was performed by Opinion Matters. They're an award-winning market research company based out of London. And they polled hundreds and hundreds of companies across the U.S. and the UK about their enterprise mobile initiatives. They published their findings back in October of 2014, and it revealed many of the top challenges that enterprises are struggling with today, and they contemplate, whether mobile application development has become the new IT bottleneck, negatively affecting things like revenue and maybe creating a competitive disadvantage if you're not getting mobile apps out quick enough. Now, this is a very well-done research study. It really provides a compelling snapshot of the mobile development landscape. So what your main task is over the next several slides is to compare your company with their findings. Now, one of the key findings from their study really deals with the importance that mobility plays within today's organizations. Nearly everybody, 99% of the respondents, recognize the importance of incorporating mobile into their current and future plans. Nothing really earth-shattering here, but when we pull the covers back a little bit, we find that 81% actually ranked mobility as very important, which was the highest level you could answer for that particular question. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting when we start to break it out by industry. So the top two industries that rated mobility the highest were insurance and financial sectors, tied at 87%. In a close third place was manufacturing at 86%. Now, this is why I find this stat interesting, because two of these three industries are really the sweet spot for the IBMI. Moving on to mobile challenges, only 4% of those people who took the survey admitted to having no challenges when it came to building mobile applications. So if we reverse that, that means 96% are faced with some sort of challenge in one way or another. So let's take a look at the top challenges reported by that 96%. Now, the challenges were broken into 6 different categories, and here's how they ranked. Getting budget and funding was the highest challenge that was ranked at 53%. Then came not having enough time in second place at 50%. The next challenge was not having the necessary skills in-house to get the job done. At 33%, the next challenge was the expectation level from the user base being unrealistic. The 5th spot was actually quite similar to the previous, the expectation from the business being unrealistic too. And last, many companies just felt that their development environment was not where it needed to be for building mobile applications. Now, it's my personal opinion that this last challenge here, not having the right environment, heavily influences all the other challenges that companies face. And we'll talk about this more in a little while. So if companies have so many challenges, why do they continue to push forward? Well, when they were asked why mobile was important, the top 3 primary goals for new mobile initiatives were to, 1, generate revenue at 64%, improve the mobile experience of existing mobile apps at 58%. I found that interesting. And number 3, to improve their customer experience at 52%. Now, a question that I'm always curious to hear the answer is, who actually develops mobile applications? Is it done in-house, or is it usually outsourced? Well, according to the research, 72% of the companies use in-house resources for mobile development, and 52% of the time they'll use outsourced resources. So to me, what these numbers are suggesting is that a lot of mobile projects use a mixture of both in-house and outside consultants, which makes sense because the in-house developers, well, they're the people that understand the business. They know the underpinnings of the system, while the consultants, they're the folks that are experts in mobile technology. Now, a common question that people always ask is, how long does it take to build an application? So according to the research, a whopping 1% of the respondents said it takes them less than 1 month to build a mobile application. Over half, right at 51%, reported that it took them, on average, between 3 to 6 months to build and deliver a complete mobile application. 43% said it takes them between 1 and 3 months. And amazingly, 6% of the respondents said that sometimes it takes them 6 to 12 months or even more to build and deliver a mobile application. Now, because of what we just saw there, especially that the 6% at the 6 to 12 month range, what we're finding, and what the survey says, is that organizations are currently struggling with a significant mobile backlog. So again, going back to the survey results, 85% of the companies surveyed noted that they have a mobile backlog between 1 to 20 applications. So that's a pretty big spread. So when they break it down, this is where it gets interesting. Half of them said they have a backlog of applications, mobile applications, between 10 and 20. So they got 50% of the audience are behind on 10 applications they want to get out to their users. So it appears that the desire to deliver mobile applications is in fact very strong, but obviously companies are having trouble getting them out the door. So in order to figure out why certain companies have troubles getting these mobile apps out the door, let's take a look at our mobile development options. Now, when it comes to developing different types of mobile applications, there's a sliding scale of benefits, which is the user experience. and trade-offs, that would be the cost and the time to market, as you move across the spectrum. So as we go from left to right, the mobile apps require more time and more money to build and deploy, but they provide a much better user experience. So mobile websites, the blue circle, this has the lowest user experience of the bunch because they tend to be the sites that haven't taken any steps towards mobile optimization. I guarantee you've seen these sites before. These are the mobile sites where you have to pinch and zoom. You're scrolling all over the place in order to see all the content. Not a very good user experience. Next up, in the orange circle, we have mobile web apps, which have a better user experience because they have been optimized to run inside of a mobile browser. By utilizing web technologies like responsive design, JavaScript, HTML5, CSS3, and some UI or user interface frameworks like jQuery, web developers can deliver mobile websites that deliver a good user experience. Benefit of this is you write your application once, and you can literally deploy it anywhere that there's a mobile browser, any kind of device that has a mobile browser. Next, we're going to move all the way to the right by the green circle. This is where we have native applications. As you can see, native have by far the best user experience because of their performance and their pure integration with the mobile device. But as you can see, they take substantially more time and more money to deliver. Well, why is that the case? Well, because there are new languages to learn, Objective-C for Apple, Java for Android, .NET for Windows. Plus, if you want to build a native application for, say, 2 different platforms, well, that's 2 development efforts. That's twice the testing, twice the maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine you want to add a 3rd platform. Well, now you're talking triple the work. Now, nudged right in the middle between mobile web and native is a technology called hybrid, which in a nutshell is a native app container or shell that allows us to run mobile web apps inside of it. So effectively, it's a green circle container running orange circle apps inside of it. Why do this? Well, what this architecture enables HTML5-based apps to do is to gain access to device features that are normally locked down when they're just simply running inside the mobile browser. Now, a lot of people discount the importance of the user experience, but a mobile user acceptance study done by Google, what they revealed is that 57% of users will not recommend a business with a poorly designed mobile application, and 40% have actually turned to a competitor's app after having a bad mobile experience. So we can't underestimate the importance of delivering a great user experience for our mobile applications. Now, because of this statistics, I'm literally going to rip off mobile websites right off the page. Why? Because if you want to make a real difference to your users, to your organization, then you really need to build some sort of mobile app, be it mobile web, hybrid, or native applications. Now, regardless of which style of application best suits your company, there is a common thread across all 3 options, a guiding set of principles, if you will, that we must adhere to if we want our mobile applications to be well received by our user base, regardless, again, which route you decide to go. First off, we need to fully understand the user's goal for each application. Why are they using the app? In what context are they arriving at the app? How can they best achieve and accomplish their goal? Second, we need to understand and constantly remind ourselves that the mindset of a mobile user is very different from that of a desktop user. Mobile users don't want to browse around. They want to find things as quickly as possible. They want to streamline their processes. Last but not least, I know this may seem obvious, but build a useful application. Again, I said it may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised. People get so caught up in the aesthetics that functionality sometimes takes a backseat to style. And what we need to focus on as developers, as IT departments for our organization, is we need to identify the primary task for our user and then make sure that they can accomplish that task quickly and easily. You've got to remember, sometimes less is in fact more. Before we leave the mobile development options, let's just take a look at one more finding from that mobile survey. The respondents were asked to choose their preferred style or type of mobile app development environment between mobile web, hybrid, and native. Now, this wasn't a select all apply type question. This was choose your one option. So right now we're currently looking at that slide that we had before, where the 3 development options are laid out from easiest to hardest to build, from the worst to best user experience. But let's just reset them so we can now match them to the results from the survey. So when asked, 22% of the respondents said they prefer to use HTML5/responsive design style development. 33% chose hybrid as their favorite, and 29% chose native as their preferred mobile development environment. Now, if you've done the math there, you'll see that those numbers don't add up to 100. That's because there's a 4th option of selecting technology on a case-by-case basis, of which 16% of the respondents chose. Now, for me, there were a few surprising results here. First, I was very surprised that mobile web apps came in 3rd place. Why? Well, because if you think about it, they're the easiest to build. You can get a decent user experience out of them, and they have the largest reach across all the different mobile devices. Second, I was also surprised that native was so close to hybrid, right? Native applications require a lot more skills and development effort when compared to hybrid, yet the percentages are very, very close. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised at these stats overall. It really does validate the importance of providing a good user experience, that it's more important than ease of development. The third finding that I found surprising was that 16% of the respondents actually chose their mobile technology on a project-by-project basis. Now, I'm not surprised at the fact that companies are doing this, because they should. This approach, it is the best way to go. It's the best odds of successfully delivering the right application with the right feature set to the right set of people. I guess what I find surprising is that it does add a lot of burden to your IT department in terms of headcount, skill sets to learn and master, and just the overall level of expertise required to pull this off. Now, I'm glad the number is as high as it is, and I strongly believe we're going to see this percentage continue to grow in the future. Okay, so now that we've reviewed the findings of the mobile study, and we've reviewed some of the trends in mobile development, now let's take a look at how LANSA can address a lot of these mobile challenges. So LANSA, in case you're not aware, has been in the mobile game for a long time. I do think people realize, or don't realize, that we've been doing this for over a decade now. My guess as to why they don't remember this is because back when we started doing mobile applications, it was still called wireless, as you can see here from one of our wireless marketing campaigns back in 2001. If we go back to that scale of benefits and trade-off slide, LANSA is the only IBM i Tools vendor that has an offering for all types of mobile development. Our mobile technology stack makes it easy for companies that want to fall into that 16% category of being able to pick whatever mobile technology makes the most sense on a project-by-project basis. For example, if you need to create mobile web applications, LANSA has Axes Mobile and Visual LANSA. These tools enable developers to quickly build mobile web apps where screens fit properly on the device, and the interface can take advantage of technologies like, say, jQuery to provide a good user experience. In particular, Axes Mobile allows any 5250 screen to be instantly rendered in a mobile browser. Visual LANSA, on the other hand, is intended for new development, for greenfield mobile web development. Visual LANSA harnesses the strength of LANSA's high-level business language, which allows developers to code much faster than they could with any sort of RPG-based alternatives. The same two products can be used for building hybrid applications as well. LANSA provides the native container to host those HTML5 apps, and by doing so, suddenly these mobile web apps have access to all the native device features that you couldn't have before in the browser: GPS, camera, Bluetooth connected devices, recording audio, recording video, etc., etc. Now, for building native applications, LANSA has 2 versions of its long-range product, one for LANSA developers, one for RPG and COBOL developers. With long-range, developers can build native apps that run on Apple and Android from a single code base. In fact, in the next few months, long-range will begin its support for Windows Mobile, so be on the lookout for that, which means companies will be able to choose between 3 different mobile platforms from the same set of source code, whether that source code is RPG, COBOL, or LANSA. Now, all the LANSA mobile products make development easier than using traditional development tools. So, for example, our long-range product enables developers to build native mobile applications faster than they could build a mobile web app just using standard development tools. Okay? So up next, we're going to take a look at how some of LANSA's customers have used these tools to deliver mobile applications to their users. So kicking off with mobile web, the first company is named Varsity, and they supply clothing and branded merchandise to cheerleading teams at schools all across the United States. Their first application was a mobile inventory lookup app that provided their sales team with real-time inventory levels and amounts on order. So Varsity used Axis Mobile to build this mobile application by instantly rendering their current 5250 screens into a mobile browser. The app, I believe, currently runs on 500 of their sales reps' iPhones across the nation. The second mobile web example is from a company called Metropolitan Associates. They're a commercial real estate company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Metropolitan used LANSA tools to create their desktop and mobile websites. So from their mobile devices, potential renters could view property details. They can look at floor plans. They can even fill an application online right from their mobile device. If you're an existing renter, you can actually log on to their mobile applications to make payments, fill out a work order if say, your microwave or your oven stopped working, et cetera, et cetera. So these mobile web apps use responsive design, so that when you do that, that means the screens are laid out properly, regardless of the device and the screen size, and they're optimized for things like finger touches and swipes. Moving on to hybrid examples, the first one is Beacon Insurance. They are a general life auto health insurance company, and again, they wanted to improve the user experience of their existing HTML5 based desktop and mobile web apps. And again, if you go back to the study, fixing up your existing mobile web apps was the #2 mobile initiative from that study, right behind generating additional revenue. So what Beacon wanted to do was to improve the mobile experience and, again, just make it an even better experience than the desktop browser or their existing mobile web version. So their hybrid application did a lot of things that the desktop browser could do. You could look up your policy information. You could make a payment. You could file a claim, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that said, because they now have a hybrid version of their application, it can now take advantage of device features to make the mobile experience better. For example, let's say a customer got in an accident, and what they could do now with the hybrid application is take photos of the damage, of the accident scene, geotag where the accident happened, take a photo of the driver's license and insurance information of the other person that they got in the accident with. This just was not possible, obviously, with the desktop version. Also, the hybrid application took advantage of the GPS location services and used the customer's current coordinates to dispatch a tow truck right to the accident scene on behalf of the customer. And again, Beacon was able to improve the user experience by taking advantage of device features because they were now using a hybrid application. Also, another thing Beacon needed to do was distribute this application on 3 different app stores: Apple's App Store for iOS devices, Google Play for Android, and BlackBerry World for BlackBerry devices. Now, because of LANSA's vast experience of getting hybrid and native applications distributed through these different app store mechanisms, this was actually quite an easy task for them. It was an easy feat to accomplish. Another example of a hybrid application is from one of our customers who is they're a leading North American processor and marketer of prepared value-added frozen seafood. Their hybrid mobile application is what we would consider a highly visual sales enablement tool, again, addressing the mobile survey's #1 mobile initiative of generating more revenue. So sales reps can access product information. They can look up customer and sales data. They can even create orders while they're on the road with this application. Things like offline support and taking advantage of their sophisticated authentication engine were major requirements for this project before the mobile project could go live, and they were able to accomplish that. And once it was rolled out, the sales force was very satisfied with the application. And again, since the user experience was excellent, the adoption rate was extremely high. All right, moving on to native mobile applications. Kawasaki Manufacturing, they are located in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is the division that manufactures all of the ATVs and jet skis and utility vehicles for North America. So if you own a Kawasaki, it was built here at this plant. Now their challenge, excuse me, like many other manufacturing companies, was to improve the processes down on the assembly line, and in particular, their parts replenishment process. So Kawasaki used long range to build a set of native mobile applications for their workers down on the shop floor, all of them fully integrated with their inventory and replenishment systems. So this application, what it replaced was a very manual, a very paper-based process, a very manual procedure. So now Kawasaki's production floor staff and all of their inventory specialists, they're armed with iPads or iPod touches with Bluetooth connected barcode scanners, and now all the workers electronically notify the inventory team whenever parts get low on the assembly line. This application was wildly successful for them. It saves them $3,500 a day in labor costs. So a very quick ROI for them for this project. The application also caught the eye of IBM and Common, and IBM awarded Kawasaki the Innovation Award at Common in 2013. Another example of a native mobile application is from a large manufacturer of commercial roofs and roofing systems. What they built was a native application for their network of certified partners. So they don't do a lot of warranty repair work themselves. They farm that out to a network of certified partners. Now I actually have a few screenshots of the application. So a contractor will come on and log on to the application. They can then take a look at what repair work's available for them on the job list, and then they can open it up to review the job information. Some of the cool features is the ability to have route generation and driving instructions to where that job is located, the ability to take before and after photos of the repair work. Not only can a contractor take a photo, but this is cool because, again, it's a native application. They can annotate that image by just drawing with their finger on the screen. In this case, you can see a couple different arrows that they've painted onto this picture that they took right on site. For the next one here, you'll have to excuse my third grade level artistic skills here, but another cool feature of the application was the ability for the contractors to be able to sketch drawings directly within the application. This was something that they found their contractors love to do, was they would always have a pad of graph paper along with them and constantly sketching, doodling on the graph paper, and then either mailing it or faxing in these sketches, and they would get lost. They would be ineligible. They wouldn't be tied to the job at hand. So now they're able to eliminate having to bring graph paper and pencils with them on every job, and every sketch they make is now linked to that particular customer, and more importantly, to that particular set of warranty work. Contractors can do things like add notes to the work order. They can allow customers to review the warranty repair information before they sign off. And finally, make them sign off. With their finger, they can put their John Hancock right down on the screen. That gets captured. Now they know that the customer is satisfied with that repair work. Now, just like with Kawasaki, this application actually replaced a very paper-based, a very fax-based process, and it now provides their contractors with a much better way to get information into and out of their IBM i ERP system. So as I mentioned up front, we will review 3 different takeaways that you can use and be able to use on your future mobile projects. So why don't we jump into that now. So all 3 of the key takeaways revolve around the following: being able to define a business case, identifying mobile use cases, and lastly, deciding on a technology. So first, defining a business case. At some point in time, after you've requested budget and resources for a mobile project, upper management's going to come back to you and say, why? Why do we need to do this? What's in it for us? So without any perceived business value and return on your investment, like we saw with Kawasaki, $3,500 a day, very easy ROI, it's going to be hard to get budget and resources for a mobile project. This is just like with any other IT project for that matter. It's no different. We need to determine what is the ROI. So how do we do that? We do that by defining a business case. So start by examining some of the inefficiencies within your organization. Are there areas where a mobile application can eliminate, say, a paper-based process, like what we saw with Kawasaki and the roofing company? What about automating a manual process or streamlining a lengthy process? Could mobile correct errors that negatively affect the company's profitability because sales reps are taking orders for products that are out of stock, and now it's creating havoc on the ordering system? Maybe taking another angle, could mobile provide a competitive advantage over your competition? Or could a mobile application open up a new revenue stream? I believe that was the number one option, or not the number one result in the findings of that revenue, was creating more revenue with mobile. So we really need to examine our internal operations to determine how a mobile solution will help and how we can establish that ROI for the project. And once you've identified and successfully answered why mobile is a good fit, the next step to tackle is the question of what. And how do we do that? By identifying mobile use cases. So questions that need to be answered are things like, what is the desired end user features and functions? Will this be a mobile web or a hybrid or a native application? Remember, each mobile project will be different, and that's why 16% of those respondents actually select mobile technology on a case-by-case basis. Now, this step can be very difficult for some of us in IT. Why? Because more than ever, we really need to gather feedback from our users, and here's the difficult part. We must truly value their input when it comes to mobile. Why? Well, because mobile is different than previous projects. This could be the first time in the history of IT where end users are as comfortable with an emerging new technology as their IT department is. And this is why I think the unrealistic goals scored so high on those mobile challenges on that portion of the survey. Today's users know what a good app looks like. They know how it behaves. They know what feature set it can use. And they know how it can benefit them. And IT, unfortunately, myself included, we're still trying to catch up with all this new technology and how to roll out these types of mobile applications. What we have to remember is that innovation starts with problems, and end users deal with the inefficiencies of our business on a daily basis. Every day they're living this. So we need to be proactive. Let's talk with our peers. Let's talk with other employees in various departments. Speak with customers. Talk to partners. Ask them, how could a mobile application make your job easier? How could you be more productive with mobile? How could it cut costs? Believe me, they'll know. They have to deal with this stuff every single day. Another thing to remember is that there's no such thing as a bad idea or a stupid question when it comes to fleshing out the specs on a mobile project, because that's where the magic hides. The more that users can feel like they can put any ideas out on the table without the fear of ridicule or being told that you're being unrealistic, that's where we find the magic. And once we're armed with this information, that's when we can better plan for what our mobile apps need to do and how to move on to the third takeaway, which is deciding on a technology. So as I mentioned before, every mobile project will be a little bit different. And chances are your overall mobile strategy will have to account for, if not all of these, most of these different types of mobile applications between mobile web, hybrid, and native. Now the good news about this step is that most of the technology answers are a natural fallout from the previous takeaways. So if you've spent the quality of time up front in those previous two takeaways, then you're going to already know, is this required to be a mobile web or a native or a hybrid application? Which platforms do I need to support? What form factors do I need to support, et cetera, et cetera. And last but not least, in terms of choosing a technology, this is uber important. And it's hard. We must remain focused on the important and not the urgent. Human nature says, let's take the easy way out. What we have to constantly remind ourselves is don't be tempted to switch tactics at this stage when the going gets rough. When all of your research says this is the mobile technology to use, right? Don't take the easy way out. Stay focused, because the important is much more going to be much more beneficial to your company than getting it done quickly. All right, so what have we learned about mobile in today's session? Well, we learned that we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. With only 6% of the respondents saying that they have all the mobile application development skills they need, it's crystal clear that the issues will become more challenging for the other 94% of us, that the demand for mobile application is going to continue to grow. LANSA can literally address every single one of the challenges brought up in that mobile study, even the unrealistic expectations. So if we go from right to left, starting with environment. The LANSA platform is the only IBMI tools environment that can cater for all the different mobile development options, mobile web, hybrid, native. And since the LANSA platform is so empowering, it also helps address all the other challenges. For example, no more unrealistic expectations. LANSA can allow you to build any type of mobile application and utilize any type of device feature, whether you want to work offline, whether you want to capture a video, whether you want to interface with Bluetooth connected devices. We can finally say goodbye to saying, I don't think we can do that. Skills gap. Developers get to build mobile applications using their existing skills, whether it's RPG or COBOL, with the exception of potentially having to use one of LANSA's language. IT staffs no longer have to master HTML and JavaScript and CSS3 and PHP and Objective-C, Java, .NET, jQuery, PhoneGap. Literally, the list just goes on forever. Time. LANSA products at their core are productivity tools, which allows IT to get more projects out the door faster than before. Budget. There's only one development environment to worry about, not several. No more having to hire new headcount for new projects, sending developers away to learn new languages, new technologies, pay costly consultants to come in and fill the skills gap. Everything gets easier with the LANSA platform. The last topic I want to cover today is LANSA's free mobility assessment offer. Any company on today's call that's about to embark on a new mobile project, or maybe if you've already begun but need help, you could take advantage of LANSA's free mobile assessment. So what you can do, you can use this opportunity to sit down with one of our mobility experts to assess your needs and options, figure out where you are now, calculate what needs to happen in the future in order to get to where you want to be. Okay? And since our development tools can build mobile web, hybrid, and native applications, we can actually provide you with unbiased advice. We don't need to force you down a certain path because of limitations with our software stack. And remember, I mentioned this before, there really is no such thing as a bad idea or a stupid question during these assessments. It's in these discovery sessions of asking, is this possible? That's where innovation hangs out, right? The more you share, the more you feel comfortable asking all types of questions of, can this be done, the more innovation we can uncover. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for attending today's session. I hope you found value in today's presentation, and I hope everybody takes advantage of the free mobility assessment. So with that, I'll pass control back to you, Allie.
All right, great. Thanks, Dave. At this point, let's move on to the question and answer session. If you have any questions, please type them into the questions window of the attendee control panel. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question in this type of forum, I put my contact information up on the screen. You can email me your questions at info@lansa.com or call me at 630-874-7045. You may also use the same contact information to take advantage of our free mobile assessment. Last, I put up the URL on the screen for those who'd like to learn more about LANSA's suite of mobile products. Check out www.lansa.com/mobile. And one last item before we open it up for Q&A. When you leave today's meeting, a survey will pop up that contains 7 questions. If you have any pop-up blockers on, make sure to turn them off or temporarily allow the window to appear so that you may complete the survey. We really value your feedback and appreciate you taking the time to fill out our survey. For the North America attendees, if you fill out the survey, we will mail you a free LANSA USB hub. Compliments of us for attending today's webinar. For those of you outside of North America, a LANSA rep from your region will be in touch with you. All right, Dave, at this time, I'm going to pass it back to you for questions.
All right, thanks, Allie. I'm just going to open up the questions panel here. I see we got a couple that have come in. as I go through the questions, I'm just going to go through them in the order that they come. If I don't answer your question to your satisfaction, don't be afraid to call me out and have me take a second shot at it. Also, hopefully, as we go through some of these questions, it might spark others. So continue to ask questions, and once we get to the end and there's no more questions, that's when we'll call our quits for today. Okay? All right, so we've got a question here from Paul. Paul wants to know, where can I get a copy of the survey? Well, Paul, thanks for asking. To be honest, I totally forgot to mention this during the presentation. After we finish up today, we will be sending out a link to the survey to everybody on today's call. So be on the lookout for an email from LANSA in the next couple of days. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that. So yes, everybody will have access to that survey. Second question here is from Janet. Janet, when do you choose mobile web over hybrid or native? Well, Janet, that's a very good question, and not always a straightforward answer. I guess it really comes down to the overall reach of the application and the level of device integration that you wish to achieve. If your goal is to maximize the reach of the application, mobile web, hands down, is your best bet, since all devices have a browser. Now, that said, you could build, if you do go that route, make sure you build a proper mobile web application that is optimized for mobile devices, right? So use some technology, whether it's LANSA. If it's not LANSA, there's UI frameworks out there that help you build the interface so it's mobile friendly. It's optimized for mobile browsers. I can't stress that enough. You want to build a good interface, good user experience if you're going to go that route. If you need to take advantage of device features, well then obviously that's when you want to start looking at hybrid or native as the best option. Again, I guess to answer this question, it'll come out of your discovery session that I talked about before in the 3 takeaways. It's really amazing how developers will go into these discovery sessions thinking that they already know which application style will be the best type for the scenario, you know, when they walk into these meetings, and then they talk to the users and they walk up and like, wow, I guess hybrid wasn't the best, or I guess mobile web wasn't the best, or native wasn't the best. It was actually this. So again, if you do the proper discovery, it should become evident which is the best choice in terms of functionality and time to deliver. There's that balance that you have to that you have to always be justifying in terms of, you know, how long is it going to take and what's the amount of functionality we need to be able to get in there. Okay. I've got a question from Steve. What does Steve want? Steve wants to know how do you get your apps approved by Apple? Well, excellent question, Steve. It's different for. Let me talk about in general, and then I'll talk about how LANSA does. So in general, there's a process that you go through when you build a native or a hybrid application. Each app store has an acceptance policy. Some are easier than others. Android's very easy to get accepted to their app store. Apple, not so much. It's a lengthy process. They do deny a lot of people, especially if they feel it doesn't fit into their ecosystem, whatever that means. If it's going to be an international application, and especially if the application has to be available in France, that's when you have to really jump through a lot of hoops to get your apps approved by Apple. It's not even so much Apple in that case, but the French government is a pain in the keister when it comes to that. So the good news is LANSA is actually taking care of this. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've certified long range, and since long range is effectively going to run on behalf of how you develop your RPG programs back on the server, you don't have to go through the process of getting your applications accepted. It's already done. It's already been approved by Apple. Okay, so we've taken care of that stress for you. You just code up your apps in RPG or COBOL or LANSA, and the rest has been taken care of. And as I mentioned before, in the upcoming months, we will support Windows Mobile, and yet again, we'll take care of that submission process for you too. We will make sure that long range has been approved by Windows, and will be up on their app store, and there's nothing for you to do other than create some awesome applications. Okay, got another question here. 1 second. I got to make my window bigger. This is Mark. Mark wants to know, is there a disconnected mode for long range for both UI and data? If so, are there data sync methods when the app is connected to the internet? Great question, Mark. So the way that long range works, it allows you to build, whether you're building with I'm not sure if you're a LANSA customer or if you're a prospect, but whether you're coding in LANSA, RPG, or COBOL, the way you code the application, you can say, well, first off is that you're never going to make your entire application offline. Just think about the amount of data you'd have to push down to the device. So what you want to do is you want to pick slivers of functionality which you want your users to continue to work while they're disconnected. Okay, they either intentionally or unintentionally, they've lost their internet connection. So inside your coding mechanisms, you actually have if statements saying, if I'm connected, I want to work it this way. If I'm not connected, I want the application to work that way. And inside of long range, we allow you to create a database that gets stored locally on the device. So it's a SQL database. It's not like when you do it with HTML5 where you got like this funky database mechanism. I think you're limited to like 5 megabytes of data. You can literally, if you have a 16 gig iPod or iPad, you could have a 15 gig database on there if you wanted to. There's no limitations because it's using a true SQL database. Okay, sorry, I digress. But anyway, so you code and you say, I want this portion of the application to be available online. I want this to happen when it's offline. And then there's no automatic sync up, but there are events saying, okay, I'm back online. What do you want to do? That's where you would write code saying, okay, I've taken these 5 orders while disconnected. Let's push those 5 orders up to the ERP, back on the IBMI. Maybe I want to do a refresh of the current pricing list and any other orders that may have come through the system through a non-mobile mechanism. Make sure those are reloaded back onto my app, so you can check for that when you're on and offline and do things accordingly. Okay, it's a great way to be able to work regardless if you have an internet connection for your applications. Okay. I think that's the last question. So unless anything pops up here in the next 7 nanoseconds, I will pass control back to Allie. And then once again, I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day today to spend 50 minutes with us. Hopefully you found value. And Allie, I'll let you send us out.
All right. Thank you all again for attending today's webinar, Sizing Up Your Mobile Strategy. You may now disconnect.